Hello everyone, hope everybody are doing good. See, we have come up with a chapter, Chemical Reactions and Equations, a very simple and fundamental chapter, isn't it? See, as a part of this chapter, in our previous video, we have covered lots of concept, lots of basic concept. We got to know the meaning of chemical reaction and how to recognize a chemical reaction. How do you recognize a chemical reaction? By change in state, by change in color, with the evolution of gas, and also by change in temperature. For all the four observations, we have seen one example, right? And after that, we also learned what do you mean by chemical equation. So what is a chemical equation? It is a shortcut way of telling a chemical reaction is called chemical equation, right? And we know two ways of writing chemical equation. One is word equation. When you use the words and write, it is called word equation. And also we have learned the other way, that is skeletal equation. When you use formulas and write the equation, we call it as skeletal equation, right? And we know what do you mean by reactants, products and everything, right? And now today's class is very important, and I am going to tell you one super trick to balance chemical equations. See, for most of the students, balancing chemical equations will remain very difficult. So here, if you can use this trick, you can easily balance any chemical reaction. Okay, so try to understand the concept and concentrate. Fine. See here, first let us learn why actually we have to balance a chemical reaction. What do you mean by balancing? So my question is, why we have to balance a reaction? Why is a chemical reaction need to be balanced? Chemical reaction need to be balanced. You know, this is actually one of the famous question for the board examination. Okay, this question can be asked for 2 marks. So what is your answer? You have to balance a chemical reaction to satisfy. So I'm writing an answer for you. It is to satisfy law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. Can you tell me what do you mean by law of conservation of mass? Law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of energy, you studied in your previous classes, isn't it? So what is the meaning of this word? This law says that mass can neither be destroyed nor be created. Okay, in a simple way, it means that number of atoms of elements in the reactant side should remain equal with the number of atoms of elements in the product side. You know, this is what we mean by law of conservation of mass. Okay, say for example, we have studied this equation in the previous class. Mg plus O2, when they react, you will get MgO, isn't it? Fine. So how many atoms of Mg is there in the reactant side? 1. How many atoms of Mg is there in a product side? 1. You know, number of atoms in the reactant side must be equal to the number of atoms in the product side. That is what we mean by law of conservation of mass. Okay, you cannot destroy the existing number and you cannot create extra also. You can only convert from one form to another form. Okay, so how many ever atoms you took in the reactants, that many atoms must be there in the product side also, right? Say if that is not equal, we should make it equal by balancing. That's what we mean by balancing. Okay, fine. And you see magnesium atoms, one is there in the reactant side, one atom only is there in the product side also. But what about oxygen atoms? Say in the reactant side, you have 2 atoms of oxygen, but in the product side, you have 1 atom of oxygen, isn't it? See, our law of conservation of mass is not satisfied in this equation. Okay, say you took 2 atoms for the reaction, you had only 1 atom of oxygen. Then where is one more atom has gone? Can you destroy the atom? Can you destroy the mass? No. Law of conservation of mass says that only. You cannot destroy the number or mass and you cannot create extra also. Okay. Whatever, how much ever mass, how much ever number of atoms you took for the reaction, that number should remain same after the reaction also. Only thing, their identity can be changed. Okay, say their properties can be changed, but you can't destroy the atoms and you cannot create extra also. Okay, so to make that law satisfied, we need to balance. See, 2 number of atoms are there in the reactant side, only 1 atom of oxygen is there in the product side. So now I can't say this is a complete chemical equation. So I need to balance this oxygen atom. Okay, so somehow I need to make this oxygen atom 2. Okay, so that means I can't put 2 here. Such a compound doesn't exist in our nature. Magnesium oxide is MgO only. Then how can I make 2 oxygen atoms in the product side? That's what we have to learn in balancing. Okay, so why do we balance chemical equation? Just to satisfy the law of conservation of mass. So what do you mean by law of conservation of mass? Mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. Say in simple words, it means number of atoms of elements in the reactant side should remain equal with the number of atoms of elements in the product side. Okay, so this is the reason we have to balance a particular chemical equation. Only then, if a chemical equation is in balanced form, only then we say it is 100% a chemical equation. Okay, so otherwise it is not 100% a chemical equation. Okay, so always whenever you write a chemical equation, it should be there in a balanced form. So now let us learn how to balance a chemical equation with the help of a beautiful trick. See guys, here are my tricks that you have to use to balance a chemical equation easily. Okay, so you have to balance in a stepwise. Initially, you have to balance the polyatomic groups if polyatomic groups are present in both reactants and products. Okay, so first thing, the moment you look at the chemical equation, identify whether polyatomic groups are there or not. So what do you mean by polyatomic group? I have given a clear idea about polyatomic groups in my bridge course. So the people who took my bridge course would understand better, isn't it? Okay, don't worry. The people who have not taken my bridge course, you can listen here. Just a brief idea I will give about polyatomic groups. Say groups like OH, say when 2 atoms combined and if they are present as a group, then we call them as polyatomic groups. Okay, say groups like OH, SO4, NO3, okay, and then PO4, you know, they are all PO4, actually they are present as ions. Okay, SO4, NO3 minus, PO4 minus 3, you know, all these we will call it as polyatomic group. Usually we will mention in a formula in the form of a brackets. Okay, say these groups are called polyatomic groups. If these polyatomic groups are present in both reactant side and product side, then you have to consider them as a group and balance it. Okay, don't take it as a separate elements. Don't separately take oxygen, balance it. Then don't consider hydrogen separately and balance it. That leads to a lot of confusion and it will take a lot of time also. Okay, so when these groups are present in both reactants and products, consider them as a group and balance it off. Your work will become easy. Okay, fine. And later, balance metals. Okay, after balancing polyatomic groups, then go for searching metals. Okay, and how do you know that which is a metal and which is a non-metal? After balancing metals, you have to go for balancing non-metals. Then how do you know which is a metal and which is a non-metal? See, in my bridge course, I have also given an idea about periodic table, isn't it? So, this is what your periodic table, right? And the elements which are present this side, okay, I mean the elements which are present left side. Can you tell me which are the elements present left side? Your hydrogen, lithium, sodium, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, right? Potassium, all these elements are present this side. So elements which are present this side are called as metals. They are called as metals. And also the elements like copper, iron, zinc, lead, okay, silver, gold, all these elements are also called as metals only. Okay, just remember, only these elements would come across your syllabus. So try to remember. So these elements, we will call them as metals. And if the elements such as fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, okay, nitrogen, phosphorus, right? So nitrogen, phosphorus comes here. Nitrogen, phosphorus, all these are, non-metals, okay? Oxygen, sulfur. If these guys are there, they are all non-metals. That means simply the elements which are present on the right side. Okay, this side elements are called non-metals. Elements which are present this side, I mean left side of the periodic table, is called as metals. Okay, see, even if you don't know, like even after telling this much, if you are confused to identify which is metal and which is non-metal, just, after balancing polyatomic groups, balance the other elements other than hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen you have to balance at the last. Again, among hydrogen and oxygen, balance hydrogen first and later oxygen. Okay, say first is finish off polyatomic groups balancing. Later go for metals and non-metals. You can't identify whether it is a metal or non-metal. No problem. Just balance the elements other than hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, whatever it may be. And after that, go for balancing hydrogen and oxygen. Again, among hydrogen and oxygen, first you should finish off with hydrogen. Later go for oxygen. Okay, so step by step you have to follow the balancing. If you can follow these rules, any chemical equation you can balance within few seconds. Okay, so now let me show with one example. Okay, example. Let us take an equation which we have learned in the last class, I mean in the previous video. Do you remember this equation? This is what the reaction you studied when color was changing, right? How to identify a chemical reaction by change in color. So you will get yellow colored lead iodide, right? These two are colorless. When you mix them, you will get yellow color. Video clip also I have shown on this reaction, right? So now first identify whether the reaction is balanced or not. Okay, so to identify that, let me put a one small table so that it becomes easier to identify whether they are balanced and which needs to be balanced, etc. Okay, say let me put which are the elements or groups present. If polyatomic groups are there, write down in the form of a group. And then how many are there in the reactant side and how many are there in a product side. So like this, make 3 columns. Okay, so first, what is our rule? We have to balance the polyatomic groups, right? So first identify whether polyatomic groups are there or not. Okay, so what do you mean by polyatomic groups? Like this, if you have OH, SO4, NO3, PO4, this types of groups, right? Say, do you have polyatomic groups? Definitely. See, NO3, lead nitrate. Nitrate is a group. Okay, so yes, NO3 group is there. And check it whether this NO3 is there in the products also or not. Okay, you see KNO3, yes, NO3 group, it is there in a reactant side and it is there in a product side also. So that NO3 group you take it here. And NO3 groups, how many are there in the reactant side? How many are there? 2 are there, right? So 2 NO3 groups are there. In the product side, how many are there? 1 is there. That means, is it balanced? No, right? In the reactant side, when you have 2 NO3 groups, product side also there should be 2 NO3 groups, remember. So that means it is not balanced, you have to balance. And now, after polyatomic group, next, which are the elements you have? Potassium you have to balance. How many potassiums in the reactant side? 1. How many potassiums in the product side? 1. Okay. Next, which is the different element you have? Lead. Okay. Actually, both potassium is a metal. So I have written first. Okay. If you can't identify which is metal and non-metal, it's fine. Just those elements, put it in a line. Okay. So potassium is there. 1. Lead. How many lead atoms are there in the reactant side? Only 1. How many lead atoms are there in the product side? 1. So lead is also there in a balanced form, isn't it? And now, which is the other element? Iodine is there. I is there. How many I's in the reactant side? Only 1 I. How many I's in the product side? You see I2. That means 2 iodines are there. So what do you understand from this information? Nitrate ions have to be balanced. Iodine atoms have to be balanced, isn't it? So what is our rule? First, we have to balance the polyatomic group. So polyatomic group NO3. Reactant side 2 are there. Product side only 1 is there. So what you have to do? Here you should increase 1 more NO3, right? Here whatever 1 NO3 is there, make it 2. Make it 2 in the sense you can't put 2 there. No. Okay, that will disturb the chemical formula. You are not supposed to change anything inside the box. Put a box. You are not supposed to change anything. Okay, you are not supposed to change the formula, right? So you should start putting digits here before the formula. If you put 1, no use. So start putting with 2. First put the 2. If you put 2 here, then this 2 belongs to potassium. It means that there are 2 potassium atoms and there are 2 NO3 groups. Okay, you want 2 NO3 groups? No, so we have put 2 here. Now, this 2 belongs to this K and this 2 belongs to NO3 also. What does this 2 mean? That there are 2 potassiums and 2 NO3. Okay, so now by putting 2 here, you are not supposed to put 2 anyway. Your nitrate group is here, so you have to put 2 here. And you are not supposed to put 2 here also. Okay, if you put 2 here, that will change the formula. You are not supposed to do that. So you should put 2 before the formula. Okay, so the moment you have put 2 here, now you check it. In the reactant side, 2 NO3s are there. In the product side, now it will become 2. So our NO3 groups are balanced. But now check potassium, is it there in a balanced form or not? After putting a digit, every atom needs to be checked. Not only NO3, every atom needs to be checked once again. Okay, so now you check the potassium. In the reactant side, 1 is there. Now in the product side, now this 2 belongs to K also. No, it means that there are 2 potassium atoms. So in the product side, automatically you had 2 potassium atoms. But in the reactant side, you had only 1. So what you have to do? You have to put 2 here because you need to make 2 potassium atoms. Because in the products, now you have 2 potassiums. So in the reactant side, this potassium need to be balanced. So you will start putting the digit 2 onwards. If you put 1, no use. So put 2, check whether it is balanced or not. If not balanced after putting 2, put 3. That way you have to check whether it is balanced or not. Okay. So after putting 2 here, now in the reactant side also you had got 2 potassiums. Now check lead whether it is correctly present or not. Lead in the reactant side 1 atom is there. In the product side also 1 atom is there. And now you check with the iodine. Iodine in the reactant side, how many iodines are there now? Now once you have put this 2 belongs to potassium, this 2 belongs to iodine also. It means that there are 2 potassium atoms and 2 iodine atoms. Okay, so now how many iodine atoms in the reactant side? It has become 2. And how many iodine atoms originally there in the product side? 2. We count this 2 atoms of iodine. 2. So iodine is balanced. So once again you check how many nitrate groups are there in the reactant side? 2. How many groups are there now in the product side? 2. Balanced. How many potassiums are there? 2. And how many potassiums are there? This 2 belongs to this also now. 2. Fine. And how many iodines are there? How many lead atoms are there? 1. How many lead atoms are there? 1. And how many iodines are there? 2 here. Okay, this 2 belongs to this iodine also, not only to the potassium. And how many iodines are there? 2. Equation balanced. Okay, so this is how carefully follow the rules and balance one by one. Okay, so when you balance in the sequence wise, it becomes easy. Say when you don't take this as a group, when you take it separately, nitrogen separately and balance, oxygen separately, when you take and balance, it leads to a lot of confusion. So that's why when the polyatomic groups present in both reactants and product, then you have to balance in the form of a group only. Okay, fine. And if the polyatomic groups are not present in the product side, if they are present only in the reactant side, then you should not consider them as a group and balance. You should consider them as a separate atoms and balance. Okay, clear? Anyway, I'll show few examples. Now we will learn one more example. Okay, see this example now. Fe plus H2O is giving Fe3O4 plus H2. Okay, so it is not balanced. Looking at this only you can understand. You see in the reactant side you have 1 Fe, but in the product side you have 3 Fe's. So that means equation is not balanced. We need to balance it. Okay, first let us put a table. So what are the elements and groups present and how many are there in a reactant side and how many are there in a product side? Let us put a table. So you can put the table so that you can avoid the confusion. Once you become perfect with the balancing, you can balance as it is without putting any table. Till you get perfection, put the table better. Okay, fine. So now, is there any polyatomic groups? No, polyatomic groups are not there in the reactants and products also, right? So forget about polyatomic group. Then what are the elements present? Ion. So ion is a metal. Okay, ion is present. Next elements, what are there? Hydrogen is there, oxygen is there. So 3 elements are there. So how many ion atoms in the reactant side? 1 is there initially. And how many ion atoms are there in the product side? 3 are there. First you put how many atoms there in the reactant side and product side. And how many hydrogen atoms are there in the reactant side? 2 are there. How many hydrogens are there in the product side? 2 are there. How many oxygen atoms in the reactant side? 1 is there. How many oxygen atoms in the product side? 4 are there. Right. So here which elements are not balanced? Ion is not balanced. Oxygen is also not balanced. So first, which element you will balance? Ion, right? I told you, polyatomic groups, if not there, forget. After that, which elements you have to balance? Metals and non-metals. Ion is a metal. Okay. And also, if you don't know whether it's a metal or non-metal, then also not a problem. Hydrogen and oxygen, you should balance at the end. Again, among hydrogen and oxygen, hydrogen first, later oxygen. Follow it in a, and you go it in a stepwise so that you will get a correct answer. Okay, you will avoid the confusion, right? Fine. First, let me balance the ion. 1 atom is there in a reactant side. 3 atoms are there in a product side. So where should I put the numbers to balance? Reactant side, less number of ion atoms are there. So in the reactant side, wherever iron is there, before the formula, I need to put the digit. So if I put 1, no change. So try putting 2, what happens? Here it becomes 2, right? If I put 2 here, 2 atoms are there in a reactant side, but how many atoms you want? You want 3, right? So if I put 2, no use. It is not getting balanced. So what digit I can put here? 3. So now it is understood that there are 3 iron atoms in the reactant side also. So that way you balanced iron. Okay, fine. Iron is balanced. Now what about hydrogen? 2 atoms are there in the reactant side. 2 atoms are there in a product side. It's already balanced. So don't touch now. Coming to the oxygen. 1 atom is there in a reactant side. 4 atoms are there in a product side. So how do you make 4? So oxygen is there. Here you need to be balanced. Here more oxygens are there. Here you shouldn't put any number. Wherever less oxygens are there, no, there you should start putting the numbers. Okay. So if I put 1 here, it doesn't make any change. If I put 2 here, you will get 2 oxygen atoms, right? It will also not make any change, right? So if I want to make 4, I need to put 4 as the digit, right? So when I put 4, then 4 oxygen atoms are there in a reactant side and 4 oxygen atoms are there in a product side. Now it is balanced. Okay. And once again, after balancing, once again cross check from starting onwards. Iron 3 balanced. Hydrogen, you see, now how many hydrogen atoms? This 4 belongs to hydrogen also. So 4 into 2, you have to do like this. This 4 multiply with this subscript 2. 4 into 2, how much it becomes? 4 into 2, 8. So that means in the reactant side, you have 8 hydrogen atoms now. Okay, you have put 4 to balance oxygen. But now, once you have put 4, this 4 belongs to hydrogen also. So how many hydrogen atoms are there? 4 into 2, 8. It has become 8 hydrogens now. And now how many hydrogens are there in a product? 2. Again hydrogen balancing has changed. No, you have to balance here. So how do you make it 8? Already 2 are there. How do you make it 8? By putting 4 here. So if you put 4 here, 4 into 2, 8 hydrogen atoms it becomes. Okay. So now what happens? 4 into 2, 8 are there in the product side also. Now you had got 8. Okay. Got to know how to count 4 into 2, 8. So here you need to make 8. Right? Already 2 are there. So which digit you will put? 2 if you put, what happens? 2 into 2, 4 it becomes. 3 if you put, what happens? 3 into 2, 6 it becomes. 4 if you put, 4 into 2, 8 it becomes. Now this 8 matches with this 8. So that hydrogen atoms will get balanced. Okay. So the balanced equation is, what is the balanced equation? 3Fe plus 4H2O, okay, giving you Fe3O4 plus 4H2. This is a complete balanced equation. Can you tell me, is it 100% correct equation? Is the 100% work over after balancing? Can I tell it as 100% correct equation? 100% complete equation? No, it is not 100% complete equation, just 99% complete equation. When do you say that the equation is 100% complete? When you put the symbols of their physical state. Okay, so iron exists in a solid state, no? So we will put its symbol here in the bracket. Okay, so symbols, I am talking about symbols now. You have to put the symbols of physical state. Symbols of physical state. Okay, if it is a solid, in the bracket you will put as S. Okay, small s. If it is a liquid, you will put symbol as small l in the bracket. If it is aqueous, what do you mean by aqueous? If some solid dissolved in a water, it becomes liquid. You know, such a liquid we call it as aqueous. Okay, AQUEOUS. If something is aqueous, we put the symbol as AQ in the bracket. Okay, if some element or molecule is a gas, then we put the symbol as small g. Okay, so now iron, we all know iron exists as a solid, so we have put the symbol S. And now H2O, here actually steam is used in the reaction. Steam is used. Steam in the sense what? Gas form, no? So here H2O is there in the form of vapor, gas, so G I can use. And Fe3O4 is a solid. The product you will get this as a solid. So in the bracket I need to put S. And hydrogen, we all know it is a gas, right? So after H2 you will put a symbol G. So now it becomes 100% complete equation. Okay, after balancing, if you can put the symbols for their physical state, in which state they exist, solid, liquid, gas or aqueous. Okay, so that symbol when you put it in a bracket, now we can say it is 100% complete equation. Okay, so they may ask you to put the symbols also after balancing. So you must know whether something is there in a solid state, liquid state, aqueous and gas. That they would mention in a question only. Okay, so now look at this example, you will get a clarity. Clear? This is how they can ask in the board exam actually. Observe the question that I am writing on a board. Observe the question here guys. This is how they can ask. Write a balanced chemical equation with the state symbols. What do you mean by state symbols? Physical state you have to mention with some letters in the bracket. Like I thought, you know, if it is a solid, we will write solid as yes, right? So that is what mentioning these symbols are called state symbols. Okay. Balance a chemical equation with state symbols for the following reaction. See the reaction they gave it in a sentence. So you must carefully understand this sentence and write a balanced chemical equation along with the symbols. Okay, you see, solutions of barium chloride and sodium sulfate in water react to give insoluble barium sulfate and a solution of sodium chloride. First, you try to write the skeletal reaction. Okay, so which are the reactants, which are the substances they are reacting? Barium chloride is reacting with sodium sulfate in water. Water is not the reactant. Barium chloride is actually a solid which has become a solution by mixing with water. Sodium sulfate is also solid. When two solids combine, reaction doesn't happen. No, it should be there in a solution form. That is why they have used water to make a solution of barium chloride and to make a solution of sodium sulfate. So when these two guys are combined, what you got? You got barium sulfate and you got a solution of sodium chloride. Okay, so which are the reactants here? Barium chloride and sodium sulfate are the reactants. So what is the formula of barium chloride? Formula you must know how to write properly. Barium, Ba. Chloride means Cl. What is the valency of barium? 2. Valency of chlorine? 1. So by crisscross method, what is the formula? BaCl2. This I taught you in bridge course, right? Okay. So plus. And what is the formula for sodium sulfate? Sodium, symbol Na. Sulfate is the polyatomic group. No, what is its formula? SO4. Is the formula correct? Sodium valency 1, sulfate valency 2. So 2 must come here, Na2SO4, right? So both are reacting to give what? What are the products you got? Insoluble barium sulfate means barium sulfate obtained in the form of a solid. Barium sulfate formed in the form of a solid. That's what we mean by the word insoluble. Okay. So barium sulfate, barium Ba, sulfate is again a polyatomic group. Is the formula correct? Barium valency 2, sulfate valency 2. When 2 is there, it will get cancelled and you will get barium sulfate as a formula. Plus another product you got, solution of sodium chloride. What is the formula of sodium chloride? NaCl. Okay. So after writing this equation, see whether the reaction is balanced or not. So for balancing, what do? You will write the elements. You will make a list, right? Elements are groups present, and how many are there in a reactant side and how many are there in a product side, right? So this table you have to make. So is there any polyatomic groups? Yes, yes. SO4 is a polyatomic group. It is there both in a reactant side and product side. So you have to consider that as a group. Okay, don't separately balance sulfur separately and oxygen separately. No, consider them as a group when it is present in both reactant side and product side. Okay, so next, what are the elements present? Sodium is there, barium is there, chlorine is there, right? Okay, fine. So SO4 groups, how many are there in a reactant side? 1. How many are there in a product side? 1. It is already balanced. So don't touch the groups. Already it is there in a balanced form. Sodium, how many are there in a reactant side? 2. How many are there in a product side? 1. Right? Need to be balanced. Barium, how many there in a reactant side? 1. How many there in a product side? 1. Chlorine, how many are there in a reactant side? 2. How many are there in a product side? Only 1. So here sulfate is already balanced, don't touch. Now go for balancing sodium. So here 2 are there, here 1 is there. So you will put 2 here. So it becomes 2. Okay. So now 2 sodium atoms are there in a product side. Okay. And barium, 1 is there, here 1 is there, don't touch. Chlorine, now you check, 2 are there. Product, this 2 belongs to Cl also. No, now it's like 2 chlorine atoms are there in a product also. So now by putting 2 here, you will have 2 sodium atoms and 2 Cl atoms. That's what you need. You got. So the equation is balanced. Now this is a balanced equation. And this is not enough. You have to mention the state symbols. Okay. So what is the symbol you will give for barium chloride? They said solution of barium chloride and sodium sulfate. When you make a solution with the help of water, for when something is there in a solution, we call it as aqueous. You will use the symbol AQ. Okay. Here solution means aqueous. Aqua means what? Water. Using water, if you are making a solution of some solid, then we call it as aqueous. So when something is there in a solution form, what is the symbol we use? AQ. So here in the bracket, you have to mention as AQ. And here sodium sulfate is also in a solution form. No, they made it water. They made it with water. So here also you have to use the symbol AQ. And now barium sulfate is there in which state? Insoluble. Insoluble means a solid state. Okay. So what is the symbol you will use? Yes. And what about NaCl? Is it there in a solution form? Yes. Solution of sodium chloride is formed, they said. So definitely after NaCl, what is the symbol you will put? Here also AQ. If something is there in a solution form, AQ you have to put. Not liquid. AQ. Okay. Solution. So this is how questions can be asked. So this is how you have to write the answer. First write the skeletal equation, balance using the rules. After that put the symbols according to the question. So question only will tell you whether you have to put aqueous, solid or liquid. Carefully you need to understand. If something is mentioned as a solution, AQ. If something is mentioned as a liquid, L. If something is mentioned as a solid, yes. Okay, so this is how you have to put the symbols, right? So I think you had got one idea how to balance a chemical equation. You can practice many more examples, and in the next video I will come up with super examples, okay, on balancing, so that you will have 100% clarity and perfection in the concept. So in a comment box, tell me how do you feel about the trick of balancing. So is it helpful for you? Are you feeling easy to balance a chemical equation? Just type S and post your comments in the comment. So with this, I am completing this video. Let us meet in the next video with the examples of balancing. Okay.